Something changed about the winter fuel payment that millions of pensioners either do not know about or have not fully understood. And the consequences of missing it can mean losing hundreds of pounds every single year. For decades, the winter fuel payment was something most people over a certain age simply received. It arrived in their bank account before Christmas, it helped cover the bills, and most people gave it very little thought. But that has changed in a very significant way, and the rules around who qualifies, how to claim, and what you need to do are no longer as straightforward as they once were. In this video, we are going to walk through everything you need to know about winter fuel payment eligibility right now, who still qualifies, what the new rules mean in practice, what many pensioners are getting wrong, and most importantly, what you can do about it if you think you may have been affected. Stay with us, because this one is important. The winter fuel payment has been one of the most well-known financial benefits available to older people in the United Kingdom. It was introduced to help pensioners with their heating costs during the colder months, and for many years it was available to almost everyone who had reached state pension age. The amounts involved are not small. Eligible households can receive either £250 or £500 depending on their circumstances, specifically whether they live alone or share their home with another qualifying person. For people on fixed incomes, that is a meaningful sum. However, a major policy change was announced that significantly narrowed who is entitled to receive this payment. The government moved away from a universal entitlement and introduced a means-tested approach. This means the winter fuel payment is no longer automatically available to everyone of state pension age. Instead, it is now linked to whether you are receiving certain qualifying benefits. This shift has affected a very large number of pensioners across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, though the rules in Scotland have developed slightly differently, as we will come to. Many people who previously received the payment without any action on their part have found that it no longer arrives, and some have not yet understood why or what they can do about it. Let us now go through the eligibility rules clearly and carefully. Under the new approach, the winter fuel payment in England and Wales is now linked to pension credit. To qualify, you generally need to be receiving pension credit, or in some cases, certain other means-tested benefits, during a specific qualifying period in September. This qualifying week is important. It is the snapshot that the Department for Work and Pensions uses to assess whether you are entitled for that payment year. If you are not receiving pension credit or another qualifying benefit during that September qualifying week, you will not receive the winter fuel payment under the current rules. It is as straightforward as that, and it is the change that has caught so many people off guard. So the first and most important question to ask yourself is, are you currently claiming pension credit? Pension credit is a benefit available to people in Great Britain who have reached state pension age and whose income falls below a certain threshold. It is made up of two parts. The guarantee credit tops up your weekly income to a minimum level set by the government. The savings credit is an older element available to people who reached state pension age before April 2016, and it is a small additional amount for those who saved modestly for retirement. The threshold for pension credit depends on your circumstances, but in many cases, people with an income below around £218 per week if single, or around £332 per week if a couple, may be eligible. These figures can change, and your actual eligibility will depend on a number of individual factors, including your income, savings, and housing situation. This is where something very significant comes in, because estimates have consistently suggested that a large proportion of people who are entitled to pension credit have never claimed it. That means there are potentially hundreds of thousands of pensioners across the United Kingdom who are missing out not just on the winter fuel payment, but on pension credit itself and all the other benefits that come with it. Let us look at a few realistic situations to bring this to life. Consider Margaret, a 74-year-old widow living in the Midlands. Her income comes entirely from the full new state pension and a small private pension she receives from her late husband's workplace scheme. She has always managed, but finances have been tight. She had received the winter fuel payment automatically for years and assumed it would continue. When it did not arrive, she was confused and concerned. She had never heard of pension credit because nobody had ever told her she might be eligible. After speaking to a welfare rights advisor, she discovered that her total income was in fact low enough for her to make a claim. She was not only able to receive pension credit going forward, but was also potentially able to backdate her claim, which could have entitled her to the winter fuel payment for that year as well. Now consider Derek and his wife Carol, both in their early 70s, living in the north of England. Derek has a modest occupational pension and the state pension. They assumed they would not be eligible for pension credit because they own their own home and have some savings. However, they were not aware that the savings credit element can still apply to some people in their situation, and that having moderate savings does not necessarily rule you out of all forms of pension credit. After checking with the Pension Credit Helpline, they found they were entitled to a small amount of guarantee credit, which was enough to bring them within the qualifying criteria for the winter fuel payment. Then there is Jean, a 79-year-old living alone in a rented flat. Jean is already receiving pension credit and has been for several years. For her, nothing changed. The winter fuel payment continued to arrive as normal because she was already within the qualifying criteria. Her situation is the one that requires the least action, though it is always worth checking that your pension credit award is up to date and reflects your current circumstances. There are several important points that often get missed in conversations about the winter fuel payment, and we want to address them directly. The first is the issue of backdating pension credit. Many people assume that if they have not been claiming pension credit, they have simply lost out on anything they might have been owed. In fact, pension credit can in many cases be backdated by up to 3 months from the date of a successful claim. Depending on when you apply and how the qualifying dates fall, this may or may not bring you within the eligibility window for the winter fuel payment for the current year. It is worth exploring with the relevant authorities, and the timing of your application matters. The second point that often gets missed is that some people may qualify for pension credit even if they have occupational pensions, personal pensions, or modest savings. There is a common misconception that having any private pension automatically rules you out. This is not correct. The calculation takes your total income into account, and the threshold is not as low as many people expect. The only way to know for certain is to check. The third point concerns housing benefit and council tax support. If you are entitled to pension credit, you may also become entitled to other forms of support that you are not currently receiving. Some people discover that by claiming pension credit, their overall financial picture improves in ways they had not anticipated. This is worth exploring carefully. There is another point many people miss regarding Scotland. The Scottish government has committed to maintaining broader winter heating payment support for older people, though the rules, amounts, and qualifying criteria may differ from those in England and Wales. If you are based in Scotland, it is particularly important to check what applies in your specific situation, as the arrangements there may be different from what you have heard discussed in UK-wide coverage. So, what can you actually do if any of this applies to you or someone you know? The first step is to check whether you might be entitled to pension credit. The quickest way to do this is by using the pension credit calculator on the official gov.uk website. It is free, it is straightforward, and it gives you an indication of whether a claim might be worth making. You do not need to commit to anything simply by using the calculator. If the calculator suggests you may be eligible, the next step is to make a formal claim. You can do this by calling the Pension Credit Claim Line, which as of the time of filming is 08009912234. Lines are open Monday to Friday. You can also claim online through gov.uk or ask for a paper application form if that is easier for you. If someone else helps manage your affairs, they may be able to call on your behalf with your permission. When you make your claim, you will need information about your income, including any state pension, private pensions, or other earnings. You will also need your national insurance number, your bank account details, and information about any savings or investments you hold. Having these to hand will make the process smoother. If you are already claiming pension credit but your circumstances have changed, for example, if your income has dropped, your housing costs have changed, or your partner has passed away, it is important to inform the pension credit team. A change in circumstances can affect both the amount you receive and your eligibility for the winter fuel payment. If you are not sure where to start, organizations such as Age UK, Citizens Advice, and the Independent Age Helpline can provide free, confidential guidance. They are experienced in helping older people understand their entitlements and can support you through a claim if needed. If you watch this video because you are worried that you may have missed out on a winter fuel payment, or because you are unsure whether you qualify going forward, please do not simply assume the situation cannot be resolved. The most important thing you can do right now is check your eligibility for pension credit. Even if you have checked before and been told you did not qualify, it is worth checking again, especially if your circumstances have changed, or if you reached state pension age more recently. Rules around pension credit, winter fuel payment, and other pensioner benefits can change over time, and what applied 2 or 3 years ago may not reflect your current situation. It is always worth going back to the official sources or speaking with an advisor rather than relying on older information. If you do make a successful claim for pension credit, make sure you understand how this connects to the winter fuel payment qualifying period in September. Timing can matter, and an advisor can help you understand how the dates work in your case. Above all, do not be put off by the idea of making a claim. Pension credit and the winter fuel payment are benefits that exist to support people in retirement, and if you are entitled to them, there is every reason to claim what you are owed. Let us bring this together. The winter fuel payment in England and Wales is no longer a universal benefit for people of state pension age. It is now primarily available to those who are receiving pension credit or certain other qualifying means-tested benefits during the September qualifying week each year. Many pensioners who previously received the payment automatically are no longer receiving it because they are not claiming pension credit. In many cases, they may well be entitled to it, but have never applied. Pension credit can be claimed by people on low to moderate incomes who have reached state pension age. Having some savings or a small private pension does not automatically rule you out. The only way to know for certain is to check. Backdating rules mean that it may be possible in some cases to claim pension credit going back up to 3 months, which, depending on the timing of your application, could affect your entitlement to the winter fuel payment. Free help is available from Age UK, Citizens Advice, Independent Age, and through gov.uk if you want guidance on where you stand. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please do consider subscribing to Retirement Money UK. We publish regular videos covering state pension updates, DWP benefit changes, pension credit, savings, tax and retirement, and everything else that matters to people in later life in the United Kingdom. If you know someone who might have been affected by the winter fuel payment changes, a friend, a family member, a neighbor, please do share this video with them. It could make a real difference. We will see you in the next one.